The Texas Rangers have finally made a big move this trade deadline, acquiring starting pitcher Merrill Kelly from the Arizona Diamondbacks as the Diamondbacks continue their sell-off of some of the top talent. Really, the only one left is Zach Gallen now, as the Rangers, as a borderline wildcard team, are looking to make a big push to the postseason in a not-so-wide-open American League, so they believe their team is good enough and they are officially buying after being very quiet until the last 30 minutes of the MLB Trade Deadline. The D-backs, of course, are looking to rebuild for the future as they thought they were going to be competitive, but ended up not being so great this year, and hope that the players they are getting back from the Rangers can help them do that. In this video, we'll dive straight into the Merrill Kelly trade, talk about what he means for the Rangers, and what the players heading back to Arizona mean for the Diamondbacks going forward. If you are interested in this kind of content and staying up to date with everything happening this trade deadline, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to stay up to date and learn in depth about each player involved in nearly every single deadline deal. Without further ado, let's dive headfirst into this Merrill Kelly trade, talk about what grades each team received for this deal, and explore just what they mean for each of these franchises. Merrill Kelly has had a very interesting career trajectory. He was originally drafted in the 8th round of the 2010 MLB draft by the Tampa Bay Rays and made it all the way up to AAA in 2014, but decided since he hadn't already made his Major League debut, he was going to go over to Korea and play for the SK Wyverns in the KBO. In his last season in Korea, his team won the 2018 Korean Series, which, if you can guess, is the equivalent of the World Series, and he ended up signing a major league contract worth 2 years with the Arizona Diamondbacks after that. He did very well in his stint with Arizona in 2019 and surprised a lot of people given that he made his major league debut at 30. Pitching in Korea is against some very high level talent, and so it wasn't a surprise that he would do very well, but he really came out, and although he did lead the league in losses in 2019, did very well with a 4.42 ERA and 158 strikeouts and 183 and a thirds innings pitched. The breakout continued, and he kept getting better and better from 2020 all the way to 2023. And 2024 was a little bit of a down year because he only pitched in 13 games due to injury. 5-1 record, 4.03 ERA in 2024. However, this season he has done very well and is probably on track to be his best season of his career. So far in his age 36 campaign, he's amassed a 9-6 record, a 3.22 ERA across 128 and 2/3 innings pitched, striking out 121 batters in that time frame while only walking 38. That's good for a 2.7 walk per 9 ratio and an 8.5 strikeout per 9 ratio. He's definitely been very good this year, and in a walk year, Arizona was looking to maximize the value they can get out of him, and the former KBO player has definitely gotten to be a very good pitcher for Arizona, and now the Rangers are hoping they can take his skill sets and push him to another World Series title. Now that you know a little bit more about Merrill Kelly, let's talk about the players that are heading back to Arizona in this deal, which are 3 pitchers. The highest rated prospect heading back to Arizona in this deal is left-handed starter Kohl Drake, who is 25 years old and was the 2022 11th round draft pick of the Texas Rangers out of Walters State, a community college in Tennessee. He led his team to the Junior College World Series in 2021 and 2022 and was named the National JUCO Pitcher of the Year in 2022 as well, leading that level of junior college in wins and strikeouts with 160 and 93 and a thirds innings pitched. He started his career at Arkansas Tech, so he didn't transfer from a big program down, but he really has developed into a top prospect in the Rangers organization, a top 10 according to both Baseball America and MLB Pipeline. There were concerns after the 2023 season that he wasn't in the best shape, so he really worked hard, dropped 25 pounds off his 6'5 frame to get in better playing shape, and it's paid off. He has really great control, and although he doesn't have a super plus pitch, he does have a lot of solid offerings that makes him a viable starter. The biggest change for Drake over the past year has been the fact that his breaking balls are breaking a lot more. The lefty has a very nice curveball and changeup that have both really become solid pitches for him, if not above average, close enough to average that you're really happy with him throwing all these pitches. It's rare that you find a starting pitcher with 3 pitches that are at least average, if not plus, and Kohl Drake definitely has that. He also has some really good control, which is exciting because you often don't get really great stuff with someone with good control. So the fact that he can really do that puts him as a high ceiling kind of guy, but because he doesn't have a true plus pitch, his fastball is fine, peaks around 96, probably averages around 93, 94. So you're not really getting a super great fastball. And the curveball and changeup are better, but not great. And he also has a cutter that really just is there and he uses very rarely and is not his best pitch. So the fact that he doesn't have that dominant pitch isn't going to make him a number 1 or a number 2 starter, but I think his ceiling probably lies as a number 3 starter. The fact he hasn't made his major league debut yet is a little worrying, but he's still a solid player. His stats in 2025 are split between AA and AAA. He did very well in 12 stars at AA at 2.44 ERA, but the jump to AAA has been a little more challenging for him. He's made 4 appearances, 3 of them starts, and pitched a 1-1 record with a 5.19 ERA. He's striking out 17 batters in 17 and thirds innings pitched and walked 6. So he's doing okay. At 25, you'd expect him to be doing a little bit better. So there's a little bit of hesitation there, but in terms of his potential, he could definitely be a solid number 3 starter. But the fact that he's struggling right now in AAA is not the best sign. If not, he could end up being a middle leverage reliever. Just because he doesn't have a lot of dominant stuff makes it unlikely that he's going to be a high leverage guy. But given his good control, maybe a team is willing to go ahead and take a flyer on that and see if he can work out in that role if he doesn't work out as a starter. The Diamondbacks are acquiring another lefty in the form of Mitch Bratt, who was a 5th-round pick in the 2021 MLB draft out of high school. He's only 22 right now, and he's also got a solid 3-pitch mix with some really good control, even better than Kohl Drake's control, which is saying something. To have that level of control of a starter is definitely really good. He's originally from Toronto, and he left his Toronto suburb to go ahead and pitch down in Georgia before he ended up being drafted by the Rangers. And although he hasn't added a ton of velocity, he is only 6'1", 190, still pretty lanky, could add some more strength there, so he would be able to potentially bulk up that velocity on his fastball a little bit. It's low 90s, tops out around 95, a little bit slower than Kohl Drake's. So definitely some solid stuff there, but nothing blow away. And this changeup and slider are probably a little bit worse than Kohl Drake's, but still solid, average, good pitches that he can use to be a good starter at the major league level. In 2025, he's actually had a little bit of a resurgence. He's been someone who's been on Rangers' top prospect list for a long time, but in 2024, they actually bumped him off the list at Baseball America because he struggled so much. But he's really found himself so far in 2025, and his pitches are really having a lot of movement and life, and that's really exciting scouts. So far at AA Frisco, being one of the youngest people in that league, he's got a 6-3 record with a 3.18 ERA across 17 starts and 90 and 2/3 innings pitched. He struck out a very solid 106 batters while only walking 16, so he is very impressive, and I would not be shocked to see Mitch Bratt be a very quick riser through the minor leagues and potentially help out Arizona as soon as next year. The D-backs didn't want all the lefties having fun, so they also acquired right-handed pitcher David Hagaman from the Rangers as their final prospect, another top 15 to 20 guy in their system. Hagaman was the 4th-round pick of the Rangers in the 2024 MLB draft out of West Virginia, where he redshirted his first years before completing 73 and a third innings pitched as a reliever before blowing out his elbow last April before the draft. He had internal brace surgery a month after that, but the Rangers still liked him enough to select him in the 4th round, and they decided to set him up as a starter, but have really limited his innings as he's recovered. However, he's done very well so far, actually making the jump from rookie ball all the way up to high A already. So far, combined across both levels, he's made 8 starts and only 22 and a third innings pitched as he recovers. He's struck out 28 batters over those 28 and a third innings pitched, which is really great stuff. Only walked 6. His control potential is probably a little bit lower than the 2 pitchers we've already talked about. His stuff is actually a little bit better too, which is why he could easily be a reliever going forward. His fastball and slider are both plus pitches, and his changeup is also very solid as well. The fact he hasn't walked a lot of batters is a great sign because he walked 11.7 hitters in his 2 seasons at West Virginia. And the fact that he has this high octane pitch mix lends it likely that he will be walking a lot of guys. However, at 6'4", 185, still a little bit of room for him to build that frame and really solidify some of the speed that he has on that fastball. Right now, his slider's mid-80s and the changeup is about the same speed, so getting some separation on those 2 pitches would also be pretty valuable. Right now, his fastball tops out around 98. It sits more around 94, 93. So if he can add a couple ticks to that, that would be a very effective move, especially if he is to move to the bullpen if the control issues do catch up to him. Now that we've talked about each player, let's go ahead and give each team a grade and see how they did overall in this trade. We'll start with the Texas Rangers, so I'm going to give a grade of B for this deal. And part of that is because I actually don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. The American League is incredibly competitive, and I really just don't see them making a huge push. When I look at the teams that are currently in the wild card race in the American League, I'm now looking at the Yankees, Red Sox, Mariners, and Rangers. I think the Rangers are the worst of those 3 teams. Of course, they have had a bit of a hot streak. They've been 7-3 on their last 10, while the Mariners have been a little bit colder, 4-6. They've lost their last 2. I still don't think they are one of the 3 best teams in the hunt for a wild card spot, and frankly, I think the Yankees and Red Sox will pull away, and the Mariners and Rangers will be a fight for that. I think there would have been more valuable additions, like maybe trying to aim for next year, especially with the Mariners going so all in this year with a bunch of expiring contracts. I think there would have been a little bit more value in getting someone who maybe had an extra year of control so the Rangers could also compete in 2026 because they do have a lot of young assets like a Wyatt Langford to go and be competitive. They also have a relatively old pitching staff. I'm looking at you, Jacob DeGrom, Nathan Eovaldi. So trading away some young starting pitching is a bit of a risk, especially since a lot of them are relatively close to making their major league debut. But the Rangers do have a lot of depth in their minor league system at starter, so I don't hate the fact that they got rid of this, but I just don't think it makes a ton of sense for them, even if they are technically in a wild card spot right now. For the Diamondbacks, I think this trade gets an A. I think this is a very good move for trying to compete in 2026 and 2027. People who can help out your team next year and be solid additions. I think that's a big plus about this return, and I also really like the fact that a lot of these players have some high upside. You're looking at guys who aren't necessarily basically going to be a number 4, number 5 starter at their best. These are players who could be very solid going forward, and I think that's something you have to be excited about if you are an Arizona Diamondbacks fan. You could be looking at players who could be solid 3, 4 starters for you, and that is really valuable. And if not, they all have good enough stuff that they wouldn't be just dead in the water if they're not actually going to reach the major leagues as a starter. They could be effective bullpen pieces, granted more likely as middle to low leverage multi-inning relievers than they are as a back end 7, 8, 9 kind of guy, but still, that's valuable. So thank you for getting to the end of the video. If you enjoyed following along this trade deadline, make sure to subscribe and stay up to date on every single trade that's going to happen this deadline. Thanks again for sticking to the end, and I hope to see you in the very next video.